There are moments in a man's life that divide everything into before and after. Not the dramatic ones. Not the ones you see coming from a distance and brace yourself for the quiet ones. The ones that arrive on an ordinary Tuesday afternoon in October, when you are sitting on the edge of a 7-year-old girl's bed, holding a purple gift bag and feeling guilty about missing a birthday party. The ones that arrive in a whisper. She leaned in close, both small hands on my knee, her eyes checking the doorway first, the way children check doorways when they have learned, without anyone teaching them, that some things are not safe to say out loud. "Grandpa," she whispered, "can you ask Mommy to stop putting things in my juice? It makes me feel sleepy and I don't like it." I did not gasp. I did not grab her shoulders. I did not let a single thing show on my face that would tell her. She had just handed me something that was going to change everything. I nodded once, slow, like she had told me the most ordinary thing in the world. "Okay, baby," I said. "Let's go for a little ride. I have spent 41 years fixing broken engines. I know what a failing system sounds like. Sometimes it is loud, grinding metal, blown gaskets, smoke, but the worst damage, the kind that runs deepest, barely makes a sound at all. You just feel it in the wheel. A pull of vibration. Something that is not right. My body knew before my mind caught up. Welcome back to Dad's true revenge. Get comfortable. This one is going to stay with you for a very long time. Let me tell you about my granddaughter before I tell you what happened to her, because this story belongs to her, and she deserves to be known as more than a victim of it. Her name is Lily Mae Cooper, 7 years old as of October 8th. The birthday I had missed by 4 days, due to a knee that had been arguing with me since I was 62, and which chose the worst possible week to make its case. Lily is the kind of child who names everything. Not just stuffed animals. She names the plants on the windowsill, the specific cloud formation she sees from the back seat of my truck, the cricket she found in the garage last summer, that she carried outside in a paper cup and released with a formal goodbye. She has a ceremony for small things. She believes ordinary moments deserve attention. She has her mother's cheekbones and her father's patience and something all her own that I have never been able to name but recognize every time I see it. A quality of presence, a way of being completely in the room she is in, that most adults spend their whole lives trying to develop and never quite manage. She calls me Pop, not Grandpa, not Granddad. Pop decided it when she was 3 and has never reconsidered. She is the best person I know. And for reasons I was still in the process of understanding, on that Tuesday afternoon in October, someone had been drugging her. October 12th, Tuesday, 2:15 in the afternoon. I had loaded the purple gift bag into the passenger seat of my 2011 and Ford F-150. Dark blue, 180,000 miles. Never missed a morning. And driven from my place off Ridgemont Road out to Clarksville, Tennessee, where my son Marcus lived with his wife, Diane, and my granddaughter Lily. The plan was simple. Drop off the birthday gift. Take Lily for ice cream. Let her tell me everything about the party I had missed. Every gift, every friend who came, every detail of the cake. Just be present. Just be Pop 4 days late and making up for it. Funny how the most ordinary intentions become the most extraordinary days. I rang the bell at 2:22. Diane answered with her phone in her hand and a distracted energy that I had learned. Over 5 years of Sunday dinners was her default setting. She was a woman who was always in the middle of something. A call, a message, an errand that needed completing. She moved through her own house like a guest who was perpetually on her way somewhere else. "Hey, Frank." She stepped back. "She's upstairs. I've got a call." She was already walking away. I stood in the entryway, holding the purple bag, and feeling exactly like what I was, a grandfather who had missed his granddaughter's birthday. Showing up 4 days later with a stuffed animal and good intentions, and the particular guilt of a man who had let something small get in the way of something that mattered. I went upstairs. Lily's room is the second door on the right. Pink letters on a hand-painted sign she had made herself. "Lily's room. Knock, please." I knocked. "Lily bug. It's Pop." Silence. Then shuffling. Then the door opened, and I felt something cold move through my chest. She looked wrong. Not sick wrong, not fever and runny nose wrong. She looked heavy, eyes slow, a little unfocused, like she was seeing me through water. Like the signal between her brain and her face was traveling a longer distance than it should. "Pop," she smiled. But it came out delayed, like a message that took too long to send. Hey, birthday girl. I kept my voice easy, crouched down to her level. Sorry I missed your party, bug. You still celebrating? Mm-hmm. She leaned against the door frame. I'm just sleepy. I glanced at my watch. 2:25 in the afternoon. A 7-year-old, on a Tuesday in the middle of the day, could barely hold her eyes open. I stepped inside, sat on the edge of her bed, gave her the bag. She opened it slowly, slower than any 7-year-old opens a present, and I have known many 7-year-olds in my time. She pulled out the stuffed rabbit I had spent 40 minutes choosing, brown. Soft, the specific size that fits comfortably under one arm, and she held it up and looked at it with the focused attention she gave everything she loved. I'm going to call her Clover, she said. That's a perfect name. She set Clover gently on the pillow, right in the center, like she had been saving that specific spot, and went quiet. That particular quiet children go when they are working themselves up to something, when they have decided to say a thing they have been carrying. I waited. She looked up at me. Really looked. The way she only looked when she wanted to make sure no one else could hear. She leaned forward, both small hands on my knee, and she whispered the sentence that divided my life into before and after. Pop, can you ask Mommy to stop putting things in my juice? It makes me feel sleepy, and I don't like it. I want to be precise about what I did in the next 30 seconds because I think it matters. I did not react. I did not let anything show. I did not grab her and ask her to say it again, or look at her with the face of a man who has just been handed something catastrophic. I nodded, once, slowly, like she had told me something completely ordinary. Okay, baby, I said. Let's go get some ice cream. I held out my hand. She took it. I walked her downstairs. Diane was in the kitchen, phone pressed to her ear, laughing at something. Laughing. I stood in the doorway for a moment. Going to take Lily for a birthday treat, I said. Ice cream, just us. She waved her free hand without turning around. Sure, have fun. She did not ask how long, did not ask where, did not put down her phone. I buckled Lily into the booster seat she still used in my back seat. She had told me once that it made her feel like a queen sitting higher up than everyone else, which I had never corrected, because queens were exactly what 7-year-old girls should feel like. I started the engine and pulled onto Clarksville Pike, doing exactly the speed limit. I did not call Marcus, not yet. I needed to know exactly what I was dealing with before I handed my son something that was going to rearrange his entire life. The Pediatric Urgent Care Clinic on Riverside Drive was the closest facility I trusted. Dr. Patricia Nguyen had seen Lily twice before, once for a respiratory infection, once for a sprained wrist from a fall off the backyard swing, and both times she had been direct, thorough, and completely without the particular condescension that some physicians extend to grandparents. She knew Lily's chart. More importantly, she listened. I walked in and told the front desk it was urgent. When they called us back, I sat across from Dr. Nguyen and told her exactly what Lily had said, word for word, the whisper, the sleepy eyes, the slow movement all afternoon like she was underwater. Dr. Nguyen did not dismiss me, did not give me the look I had been half prepared for, the one that says grandparents overthink. She looked at Lily, who was sitting on the exam table eating crackers from a paper cup like this. Was the most ordinary Tuesday of her life, and she ordered a full toxicology panel and urine screen. We'll have results in about 40 minutes, she said. We waited. At the 35-minute mark, Lily climbed off the exam table, tucked herself against my arm in the chair, and fell asleep. Not dozed, not drifted, fell asleep the way someone falls off a cliff, quickly, completely, without any of the gradual settling that natural sleep involves. I sat very still. I stared at the wall. I thought about the fact that I had almost not come today, that I had almost waited until the weekend. Let the guilty feeling, about the missed birthday sit a few more days before I did something about it. What if I had waited until the weekend? The door opened. Dr. Nguyen walked back in holding the results sheet. She looked at it. Then she looked at me, and she stopped. She stood completely still for what I counted as 4 full seconds. 4 seconds is a long time when a child is asleep against your shoulder. Sir, she said, her voice was careful, measured, the voice of someone choosing words with precision. How long has she been drinking this juice? Asterisk. That's why we're here, I said. What's in it? She sat down, turned the paper around so I could read it myself. Diphenhydramine, children's allergy medication. Perfectly safe at the correct dose for appropriate medical reasons. The results, however, showed concentrations. Dr. Nguyen's exact words, consistent with repeated intentional administration over an extended period. Not an accident, not once repeated. Intentional. Extended. I read those 3 words 4 times. Then I folded my hands on my knee, breathed in through my nose and out through my mouth. The way I had learned 41 years ago, to breathe when something had gone badly wrong with an engine and panic was the least useful thing available. Is her mother home right now? Dr. Nguyen asked quietly. Yes, Mr. Cooper, I'm legally required to report. I know, I said. I met her eyes. Give me 24 hours. She studied me for a long moment. Whatever she saw there, and I hope it was what I intended, a man who was not going to go off like a grenade. A man who was going to be precise and careful and thorough. Told her something. Tomorrow morning, she said finally. 8 a.m. If I haven't heard from you by then, I make the call myself. Understood. We shook hands. I carried Lily to my truck, buckled her in, started the engine, Clover. The rabbit was tucked under her arm. The drive back to Clarksville took 23 minutes. I know because I counted every one of them. I did not sleep that Tuesday night. Not because I was falling apart. I want to be clear about that. Frank Cooper does not fall apart. I sat at my kitchen table with the lamp on low, a cup of coffee going cold beside my notebook. The same composition book I had used for engine logs since 1987, green cover pages soft with use, and I thought methodically. The way I always thought through a rebuild. What do I know? What do I need to know? What is the correct sequence? What I knew. My granddaughter had been drugged repeatedly inside her own home by someone who was supposed to protect her. What I did not know, how long, how often, and most importantly, why. The why was the part that kept my pen still over the page. Lily's mother, Diane, was 34 years old. She had grown up in Nashville, middle child of 3. Parents who were present but distracted in the way of people who worked constantly and loved their children through provision rather than presence. She had been sharp and driven when Marcus brought her home 6 years ago. Marketing manager, organized, ambitious, the kind of woman who made things happen through sheer force of will. I had liked her. I want to say that honestly. In the beginning, I had genuinely liked her. But something had changed somewhere along the way, and I had noticed it the way you notice a small oil leak. Not alarming at first, easy to rationalize until the day the engine seizes. Marcus traveled for work, frequently, sometimes for 2 or 3 weeks at a time. Lily was bright and demanding and fully alive in the way that truly healthy children are. Loud, curious, present, requiring attention constantly. And Diane was somewhere in that house, with a life that looked exactly right from the outside and felt, I suspected, like a closing room from the inside. I was not excusing anything. I was trying to understand the shape of what had happened. Because understanding the shape was the first step to dismantling it completely and permanently. I opened my notebook and I started writing dates, observations. Everything Dr. Nguyen had told me, every detail I could remember about the last several months. The times I had noticed Lily moving slowly. The times Diane had seemed particularly eager for me to take Lily for the afternoon. The times Marcus had mentioned Lily was sleeping more than usual, and Diane had called it a growth spurt. Growth spurt. I wrote that down too, and I drew a line under it. By midnight, I had 3 pages of notes and 1 clear conclusion. I needed 2 things before I called Marcus a lawyer, and eyes on that house. Wednesday, October 13th, 7 in the morning. I called an attorney named Raymond Walsh. He had handled Beverly's estate 12 years ago. My wife, God rest her, and had proven himself to be exactly the kind of man I needed in moments requiring precision. He listened more than he talked. He did not waste words or time. I was in his office by 9. I laid everything on his desk. The clinic visit, Dr. Nguyen's report. The toxicology results I had photographed with my phone before leaving the clinic. My 3 pages of handwritten notes. Raymond put on his reading glasses and did not say a single word for 4 minutes. Then he looked up. Frank, do you understand what this is? Child endangerment, I said. At minimum. Asterisk possibly aggravated depending on duration and demonstrated intent. He took his glasses off. Who else knows? You, the doctor, and me. Marcus doesn't know yet. He nodded slowly. Before you tell him, you need documentation he cannot dismiss. Because when a man hears something like this about his wife, the mother of his child, his first instinct is denial. You want the evidence so complete that denial is not an option. He was right. He was completely right. What do I need? I said. Medical records in your possession, already done. Pharmacy records, if we can trace them, a documented timeline. And if there is anything else happening in that house that we don't yet know about. Eyes. He slid a business card across the desk before I could ask. Marcus Treadwell, Private Investigations, Clarksville and surrounding areas. He's thorough, Raymond said, and he is quiet. I pocketed the card. One more thing, Raymond said, leaning forward. When Marcus calls you back about Lily staying with you, and he will, because you're going to ask him, say yes immediately and get her out of that house today. Already planned on it, I said. He almost smiled. You've done this before. I've rebuilt a lot of broken things, I said. Same principles apply. I called Marcus from the parking lot. Hey, Dad, everything okay? Everything's fine, son. I kept my voice easy. Hey, how has Lily seemed to you lately? You notice anything different about her? A pause. The kind that meant he was actually thinking. She's been sleeping a lot, actually, Diane said. Probably a growth spurt. Again, hey, would it be all right if she came and stayed with me for a week or two? Little pop time. I feel terrible about missing the birthday. I could practically hear him smile. Dad, she would love that. Let me talk to Diane. He called back at 11:15. Diane had agreed immediately. Didn't ask how long. Didn't ask what we'd be doing. Didn't even get on the phone to say goodbye to her daughter. I filed that away. I picked Lily up at 2 o'clock. She was standing at the front door with her backpack and Clover tucked under her arm, wearing her yellow rain jacket, even though it wasn't raining. Because Lily wore her yellow jacket. Whenever she was going somewhere, she was excited about. Deanne was somewhere in the back of the house. She didn't come to the door. I buckled Lily in. She looked better than the day before, brighter, more present, more herself. One night, without whatever was going into her juice. Are we going on an adventure, Pop? The best one, I said, and I meant it in more ways than she knew. Marcus Treadwell called me Thursday evening. Mr. Cooper, I've got something. You want to meet? How soon can you be at the coffee shop on Madison Street? 20 minutes. He was there in 17. Compact, quiet-eyed, the kind of man you would never notice twice in a crowd, which was, I understood, the entire point. He ordered coffee, slid a manila envelope across the table. I opened it, photographs, clean, time-stamped, unambiguous. Diane and a man I did not recognize. Late 30s, well-dressed, the easy confidence of someone who had never worked particularly hard for anything. Hotel receipts. Timestamps that lined up, I checked, carefully, with nights Marcus had been traveling. How long? I asked. Marcus Treadwell wrapped both hands around his mug. Based on confirmed documentation, at least 9 months. 9 months. I did the arithmetic, and I did not like where it landed. The pharmacy records, I said. He slid another document across the table. A trace of diphenhydramine purchases. Children's liquid formulation over the counter. 6 separate transactions across 4 different stores over 7 months. Different stores each time. Deliberate. She had been deliberate about it. The timeline of the drugging, Marcus Treadwell said carefully, appears to coincide with when the relationship became more frequent. She had needed more time. Lily was always there, so she had put her to sleep. I closed the envelope. I sat with that for a long moment. Treadwell didn't rush me, just drank his coffee and let a grandfather sit with something. No grandfather should ever have to sit with. She had not done it out of cruelty. She had done it out of convenience. Somehow that was worse. I paid for the coffee, stood up. I need everything documented, I said. Every date, every location, airtight. Already working on it, he said. I drove home on Madison Street with the windows down. October in Tennessee has its own particular quality. Something between the last warmth and the first cold. A smell like cut grass and coming change. The last breath before the season turns. Lily was in the guest room at my house, asleep. The real kind. Natural, deep, completely safe. Clover on the pillow beside her. I stood in the doorway and watched her breathe for a long moment. Then I went to the kitchen table, opened my notebook, and wrote the last entry I needed to write. Ready to move Friday evening, October 17th, 6:30 in the evening. Marcus pulled into my driveway in his gray truck looking like a man who thought he had been called home for dinner. Relaxed, jacket over one arm. No idea. Lily was already asleep in the back bedroom. I had made sure of that. What was about to happen at my kitchen table was not for 7-year-old ears. I had cooked pot roast and cornbread. I have made that meal for Marcus every time life handed him something hard since he was 17 years old. When he failed his junior year finals. When his first business partnership collapsed at 28. When Beverly passed and he stood in my kitchen not knowing what to do with his hands. He had never known it was a ritual. I had never told him. Some things you do without explanation. He came in, hugged me, smelled the kitchen. Something smells right, he said. Sit down, I said. He gave me the look he had been giving me since he was 12. The one that said, you are being unusual. But he sat and we ate. And I let him have the full meal, and the cornbread, and the sweet tea, and the second helping. I let him be comfortable one last time. Then I stood up, went to the counter, and placed 3 things on the table in front of him. The medical report, the pharmacy records, Marcus Treadwell's envelope. I sat back down, said nothing. Let the evidence do what evidence does when you give it room. Marcus looked at me, looked at the papers, picked up the medical report with the careful hands of a man picking up something. He is not sure he wants to hold. He read it. His face did not explode, did not crumble. It went completely still, the way a pond goes still in the moment. Before something breaks the surface, he set it down, picked up the pharmacy records. Read them, set them down, opened Marcus Treadwell's envelope. Looked at the first photograph. Closed the envelope. The kitchen was so quiet I could hear the clock on the wall marking seconds. Then Marcus stood up, very slowly, very controlled. Excuse me for a minute, he said. He walked down the hallway. The bathroom door closed quietly. I sat at the table and I waited. Take your time, son. He was in there for 9 minutes. I counted. The clock on the wall helped when he came back. His eyes were red and his voice was completely steady. He sat down, looked at the closed envelope without touching it. Does Lily know what was in the juice? No, I said. She just knows it made her sleepy and she didn't like it. He nodded once, slow, good. She doesn't need to know more than that right now. And right there, in that moment, I saw my son clearly. Not the blindfolded husband who had filed away his daughter's slow eyes under growth spurt and gone back to his work. The father. The real one. Underneath all the travel and the trust extended to the wrong person. He was there. He had always been there. He just needed someone to hand him the truth with both hands. How long have you known? He asked. Since Tuesday. He looked up. You've been sitting on this since Tuesday. I needed it airtight before I brought it to you, I said. Didn't want to hand you something you could talk yourself out of. He was quiet for a long moment. Then he let out a short breath that was almost a laugh. You rebuilt the whole engine before you showed me the damage, he said. Force of habit, I said. He looked at the envelope one more time. Then he pushed it aside and pulled out his phone. I need Raymond Walsh's number, he said. That is my son. Marcus did not go to the house that night. He spent Friday and Saturday at my place, sleeping in his old room. Eating breakfast with Lily. Watching her carry Clover around the kitchen while she narrated elaborate stories about rabbit kingdoms and cloud geography and the specific personality of each plant on my windowsill. He watched her the way you watch something when you understand, for the first time, how close you came to losing it. Sunday he drove back to Clarksville alone. He had spoken to Raymond Walsh twice. He had moved money into a separate account. Saturday morning, photographed documents from the home office, and done everything with the methodical precision of a man who had learned. Somewhere along the way, that precision was the only tool worth using when the damage ran deep enough. Monday morning, October 20th. He waited until Lily was at school. I had driven her myself, walked her in, signed her name in the attendance book, watched her disappear into the building, with Clover tucked in her backpack, because she had asked if Clover could come, and I had seen no reason to say no. Then I drove to a coffee shop on Madison Street and sat with my notebook and my phone, and I waited. Marcus told me everything that evening, word for word. Deanne had been at the kitchen table with her laptop when he came in. She looked up and smiled. The normal smile of a normal Monday morning, The smile of a woman who had no idea that the floor had already been removed from under her. He sat down across from her and slid the medical report across the table. She looked at it, looked at him, and he watched the smile dissolve in real time. Not dramatically, not with a gasp, but slowly, the way light leaves a room when the sun goes behind a cloud. She started talking immediately. Marcus, I can explain. She was having trouble sleeping, and He put the pharmacy records on the table. She stopped. He opened Marcus Treadwell's envelope, placed the photographs between them. She looked at the photographs for 3 seconds. Then she went completely still. I trusted you, Marcus said. His voice never rose. Not once. Not a single time in the entire conversation. With my daughter, with my house, with my name. He stood up. You used all 3. Marcus. Please, her voice cracked. Lily is my daughter too. I love her. I would never. You drugged her, he said, for months, so you could have more time. He picked up his keys. Whatever story you need to tell yourself about that, that's yours to carry, not mine. He walked to the door. She said, Are you going to take her from me? He stopped, turned around one final time. You made that choice, he said. Not me, and he walked out. I want to tell you how it ended. Not the dramatic version, the real version. Because real justice does not come with a soundtrack. It comes with paperwork and court dates and a great deal of waiting. But it comes. Dr. Nguyen filed her mandatory report. Monday morning at 8 o'clock, exactly as she had said she would. Child Protective Services opened an investigation within 48 hours. The documentation Raymond Walsh had prepared, medical records, pharmacy traces, Marcus Treadwell surveillance, 7 months of purchase records across 4 stores, went before a family court judge within 3 weeks. The judge reviewed the evidence for 2 days. Temporary full custody awarded to Marcus, effective immediately. Deanne's attorney argued stress, mental health crisis, extenuating circumstances. Raymond Walsh put Dr. Nguyen on the record. He put the toxicology report in front of the judge. He put the pharmacy records, 7 months, 4 stores, deliberate and consistent, on the table. The judge did not need long, supervised visitation only, pending completion of a full CPS investigation and psychological evaluation. Child endangerment charges filed by the district attorney's office 2 weeks later. The house in Clarksville went into the divorce settlement. Diane received considerably less than the life she had built and curated and maintained so carefully. The social media page went quiet. The seasonal decorations stopped appearing on the front porch. The house by December belonged to someone else. Not with an explosion. Not with a scene, with paperwork. The way real things end. Lily asked me once, about 2 months after everything, whether Clover had known something was wrong. We were sitting on my back porch on a Saturday morning in December. She was drinking apple juice, real apple juice, unaltered, poured by her father in front of her the way he poured everything now. Carefully, visibly, without mystery. She was watching a bird on the fence post. What do you mean? I said. Clover, she said. I held on to her really tight when I was sleepy all the time, even when I didn't know why. She looked at the rabbit in her lap. I think she knew. I looked at my granddaughter. 7 years old, sitting in the December light with a stuffed rabbit and an apple juice, and the complete unhurried attention she gave everything that mattered to her. I think you might be right, I said. She nodded seriously. Animals know things. Asterisk. People know things too, I said. Sometimes they just need someone to listen. She looked up at me. The specific look she had given me on that Tuesday afternoon in October, the look that checked the doorway first. That made sure the coast was clear. That trusted me with the most important sentence she had ever said. Is that why you came that day, Pop? She said. Because you knew? I thought about that for a moment. I came because I missed your birthday, I said. And I felt bad about it. She considered this. So Clover saved me, she said. Because if you hadn't come to bring her, you wouldn't have found out. I looked at my granddaughter for a long moment. Yeah, I said. I suppose she did. Lily held the rabbit up and looked at her with great seriousness. Good job, Clover, she said. Then she went back to watching the bird. There are moments that divide a life into before and after. I know that now, in a way I did not know it before October 12th, the quiet ones, the ordinary Tuesdays. The purple gift bags, and the missed birthdays, and the guilt that drives a grandfather out of his house on a Tuesday afternoon when he might have waited until the weekend. I almost waited until the weekend. I will never stop being grateful that I didn't. My granddaughter whispered something to me in a doorway. She trusted me with the most important sentence she had ever said, because she had learned. In the way that children learn things that adults teach them without knowing it. That Pop showed up, that is all any of us can do, in the end. Listen. And when something is wrong, trust what you feel in the wheel. If this story stayed with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to Dad's True Revenge. Every week, stories about the people who show up when it matters most. Drop a comment. Tell me what you thought. And remember, sometimes the most important thing a grandfather can do is simply be there. See you next week.